And I'll send you a recording of this too.
Oh, lovely. Thank you.
Okay, my pleasure. Okay, let me just set this up. We don't say anything drastic. And I have my phone beside me as well because there's that bit of a delay to make sure we're actually on.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you see me looking down there, that's why. Cool. We should be just about live. Hello, hello, hello.
Hello.
Now let's make sure that we are live. I do believe that we are live. Let's pretend that we are anyway. Worst case scenario. We could put this, it says we're live, so we must be live. So here we are. Welcome, 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 Alex. Now, how do I pronounce your last name correctly?
It's pronounced Knysh. It's a
Knysh.
Silent K. Yeah, I know that. Yeah.
Very unusual. What nationality is that?
It's Ukrainian.
Oh, okay. Right, very unusual.
It's interesting because in Ukrainian we actually pronounce the K and we say Knysh, but in English it doesn't translate that way. It's a bit different. So.
Okay. Oh, well, there you go. Awesome. So first and foremost, welcome and thank you so, so much for giving me your time to have this interview today.
Thank you for having me. It's really lovely to see you and to be here.
My pleasure, absolutely. And I know that I'll share this in one or two of my groups and I'll give it to yourself as well to use. But it's all about getting to know the person behind the face. You know, we see so much on social media and different areas, but we don't actually get to know. And I think there's quite often an illusion that that person's successful and that person has it all together, but we kind of know different. We know the truth underneath that. But first and foremost, can you tell us in a bit of a nutshell of, you know, who is Alex? Like, where has she come from to whatever transition you went through to who you are now, what you do now?
Sure. So I grew up with quite a bit of trauma in my life. And I didn't know how to deal with it. So as a young teenager, I started drinking a lot and taking a lot of drugs. And I did that for quite a number of years and went through, because of that and the people that I associated with, I went through a whole lot more of trauma in my late teens and early 20s.
Yeah.
And then when I quit that lifestyle, I started getting quite ill with autoimmune diseases. And it was kind of like a collection, one after the other. And I knew at the age of 30 that I really had to turn my life around and I had to get rid of, you know, all the toxins and do whatever it took to heal. But it took quite a long time and it was quite a bit of a journey. And I had been studying primary teaching at university, and my immunologist told me when I was diagnosed with lupus that I was on my way to developing cancer and I was going to die. And as you can imagine, that was quite a shock to hear.
Yeah.
But the rebel in me was like, who the hell are you to tell me that I'm going to die? Like, no thanks. And so I did everything in my power to try to heal. And I did a lot of research in illness and alternative therapies. I had started seeing a hypnotherapist, so my interest there really grew. And I started seeing a Reiki practitioner, a bone therapist, kinesiologist, and together with psychologists, and was doing everything I could to reduce my stress and anxiety, because a lot from my trauma background was high stress, high anxiety, panic attacks, and really just not managing myself at all. So yeah, I started my self-healing journey, and fast forward to where I am now. I'm 44 and I'm the strongest and healthiest I've ever been. The start of the year, my rheumatologist told me I don't have lupus anymore. So
oh my goodness. Wow.
It's really quite an amazing turnaround. So, and now with my business, I've been in business 4 years, almost 5 years, and now I'm helping people on their healing journey as well. So I feel very blessed.
Beautiful. And I know, to me, lupus is not something that just goes away. So the fact that you've been able to reverse that is, wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, when you're told that you're going to have this chronic illness for the rest of your life, there is no cure. You know, it's so many people see it as it's doom and gloom fatality, you know. But I had a lady from an autoimmune and research and resource center say to me, don't think of what you've lost in your life. Think about who you can be now. Like, this is your chance to be someone different and turn around. And that really stuck with me. So I've made it my mission to be the very best version of myself and do whatever it takes to be healthy and treat my body like a temple. You know, we've only got one body, and unfortunately I didn't treat mine very well for quite a number of years.
As a lot of us.
Yeah. But I've learned my lesson, and, you know, I'm really proud and grateful for where I am now.
Beautiful. Such an amazing story. And what do you do now differently than you did then? Like, I mean, when you say look after your body and things like that, kind of, we have an intellectual understanding of it, but what is it you practice daily?
Everything. So I do a lot of meditation, grounding exercises. I eat really nutritious foods. I make a lot of my own foods. So I don't really eat junk food, although I am a sucker for chocolate. So
I make raw chocolate.
Nice. What else? And I just really work on my mindset, my emotional health, my spiritual health, like everything. It's a whole package. So you can't have one area being okay and, you know, the scales tipped on the other end. You've got to bring everything up. So it's working on the whole self, body, mind, soul, everything.
So what are some of your success habits for that then? What things do you put in place that are like a must do every day, whether it's in business or in health? What are your must do's every day?
So my morning routine is warm lemon water. That's a must every day. And then I do a whole series of yoga stretches to start and get moving and warm myself up. Then I do a little meditation, and it's only a short breathing exercise, 5 or 10 minutes. And that's like my must routine every single morning. I can't function if I don't do that. And in business, I do a lot of grounding exercises. So I use tapping of the body, and, you know, just to remind myself to be present and ground myself and feel strong. So I do that before I start work. I also do it before I see each client or before I have a phone call. So yeah, they're my musts.
Yeah, absolutely. Awesome. And you know what? It's whatever works for you, isn't it? It's whatever routines and habits. Our brains are quite lazy in terms of if they can check the shortest route to whatever they will. So developing those real success habits is really important because they become ingrained.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think another one for business to say is really important. Like you said before, we see so many people online and we make these assumptions over where people are. So I really think it's important not to go into that comparison game.
Yeah.
So that's a reminder for myself constantly. If I find myself going there or being a little bit judgy, because come on, we're all quite judgy.
We have to be. That's part of human nature, I think. We have to judge if something was going to kill us or whatever.
Yeah. Sure. And just like, if I notice myself going there, I just remind myself to come back to my heart space and to come at it with love and compassion and see people through that lens instead. And I think that's a really important thing because, there's a lot on social media. So
yeah. And how, like, I know that other people will ask me, they say, Karen, why didn't you ask her? How does she do that? Because we intellectually know a lot of it. You know, people will say, I was grounding, I was meditating, or when I do that, I just turn it around. But sometimes you're in full flight of judgment or negativity or whatever.
Yeah.
What is it for you that highlights and stops you to come back to heart space?
It's an interesting question. And I had a recent experience with a family member, and I found myself being very judgy over a couple of weeks. And I went into, you know, this little dark hole because I was making myself miserable being this really judgmental person, judging everything they did and said. And I wasn't sleeping, I was stressed and felt terrible. And I just had one day, it was like this little trigger went off in my mind going, you're being so judgmental. What's the purpose of that? And, you know, if you just come back to love and compassion. And as soon as I did that, it was like I had this big sigh of relief. And I just did a little breathing exercise, holding my heart and imagining, you know, beautiful colors in my heart and just bringing back that love and I guess sharing that love with that other person, even though they weren't in the same room. And it just made me feel so much better. So, and I've been great since then.
Yeah. And next time you see that person, then you don't assume. I use a term called already always listening. And it was like, if I've experienced you in a not so positive light, let me say, next time I see you, I'm already listening to you in how I last experienced you.
Yes.
So I'm going, oh my God, we had an argument last time. Here we go again, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. And we can get ourselves into that state. But when you break it, as you've just described, then the next time you see that person, you come from love and compassion. It's different.
Really different. And they're so different, which is a surprise. You expect to be how they were before. And, you know, the problem with that is if you have that expectation, then you're on high alert and your nervous system becomes overreactive.
Absolutely.
So it's really important to break that pattern. And
well, we all vibrate at a certain level, so they can feel our vibration. So when you're like in that fight or flight kind of ready mode, they can feel it. So they'll either go on fight or flight back. Whereas if you come from love and compassion, people actually do vibrationally feel that, and they kind of feel it more safe.
I really love the term lead with love. So if you think of yourself as a leader in any situation, you are the one leading the show. So if you come with that good high vibrational energy, then other people are going to bring that to the table as well.
Yeah, cool. Awesome. I love it. So tell me, Alex, what is success to you?
Oh, this is a really tricky question. To me, I think it's such a multifaceted thing. For me, I mean, for some people, they'll say money straight away. To me, I find success being really strong and healthy in your relationships, healthy in your energy, your emotions. And by being that person, then success in all other areas will come. You'll be attracting more clients, more income, you know, so it's a whole, I see it as a whole very rounded thing.
Yeah.
No,
and that's exactly okay, because success is different for every single person. And I think we measure success sometimes, as we just talked about, on what other people are doing rather than what we're doing and how we can be that best version of ourselves. So what is the biggest factor that has helped you to be successful in business?
I think asking for help when I've needed it, and not being afraid to go out and seek help. You know, I grew up thinking, oh, I have to be this very strong, independent miss and, you know, never ask for anything. But during my illness, I learned, you know, there's got to be another way. So I've learned now to ask for help when I've needed, and I've worked with some amazing business coaches and mentors and other coaches, and So it's, you know, I feel like I'm a forever learner. I love learning from
Yeah.
other people and being able to take things on, and
Yeah.
yeah.
And we know that quite often asking for help comes at a cost, for example, just when we're talking about that. What do you feel about investing in yourself?
Well, I think you have to, it's necessary.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely. I think, you know, you are the best investment. So you've got to invest
Absolutely.
in yourself.
Yeah.
And if you
100%.
aren't doing that, then how are you walking your talk for your clients? So I think it's
Yes.
important.
Yeah, exactly that. Because if you're not green and growing, you're ripe and rotten. And people say, I'll just stay as I am. It's like, well, there's no staying as you are. You are
Yeah.
always moving. You
Yeah.
decide whether it's upstream or downstream. That's about it. So, what is the hardest decision you've ever had to make in your business?
Oh, I'm not sure.
I like to throw in a few hairy questions.
Yeah. I don't think I've ever thought about that before. I think probably a challenge that I've had was I moved from Newcastle last year, and I was there for 12 years, back to Sydney. And I had a community in Newcastle, so everyone knew who I was and what I did. And coming back to Sydney, not knowing anyone really. So I rebranded my business, and I've literally started from the ground up again. Um, and I wouldn't say it's been hard. At times it's been challenging, but I've loved every minute. So yeah, I love challenges because that's how you learn.
Yeah. Was the decision to move a hard decision, or have you ever had to, for example, in business, we're going this way and suddenly we'll realize that we need to veer there, but it's quite a challenging decision to drop that case, to drop that stuff to go that way?
Yeah, it was a little bit, because I had a network in Newcastle. So, I knew coming to a place that was so much bigger than Newcastle, not knowing anyone, it would be challenging to meet people and network and, start all over. But I'm thankful that I did. I'm really grateful that I did. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I think in hindsight, we can look at it like that, but at that time, it's like breaking up from a relationship. Like at that time, my ex-husband and myself, and I think this is everybody's story in some way, shape or form. We stay in a relationship until the pain becomes too much. And we look back at it and say, I should have left 3, 4, 5 years ago, whatever that was.
Yeah.
But it wasn't the time.
In Newcastle, I was very much in my comfort zone. And that's why I wanted to move, because I knew I had to push myself. I had to grow more. So, yeah.
But stepping into that unknown,
it's scary.
Can be. That's what I mean. When I say hard, I would look back and say, "Oh my God, it was the best thing I ever did," or it was challenging. But at that time, the karma that was there in that moment, oh my God, was it hard?
Yeah.
It was like, oh, what do I do? What do I do now? You don't know where you're going to put your foot, if it's actually going to land on earth anymore. You're completely unsure of, the world as you knew it.
Yeah.
And I don't know about you if you ever experienced this, but you see or meet people that knew the old you. And again, they kind of do that already, always listening, and presume you're the same you. And you're going, oh my God, I'm so different now. I can't even relate to that person.
Yeah.
So we quite often lose friends.
Yeah.
But it's just an evolving growth. It doesn't mean we're losing it or that it's right or wrong.
Yeah.
I
feel like I have shed so many skins and so many layers of myself and rebirthed so many times.
I know.
So I really do feel like a different person to, who I was last year, who I was 10 years ago, 20 years ago.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
And that's the way it kind of should be, isn't it? That's kind of what we're designed to, is to grow and evolve and change. So what is your biggest joy in life?
My cat, Sophia. I love her so much, and I love her unconditional love. It's just beautiful. So that paired up with walking in nature, I love being outside.
Yeah. Okay. You'd love my place then. It's just outside the bloody door. What is one of your, or your complete and utter, whichever it is, what is your greatest fear?
Oh, probably something I don't necessarily want to admit, because I am an introvert and I love my own company and my own space. But I do fear being alone and not having anyone in my life.
There's a big difference between being alone and being lonely, isn't there?
Yes.
Yeah. And because I'm an extrovert, so I don't know if we live by labels. I was once told I was the most introverted extrovert they had ever met. I'm not sure what that means. I was just trying to find out what kind of job I should have. But I do get to a point of no more. But putting me in a corner where I never interact with people, one of my, oh my God, you might as well just leave me there to die.
At the end of the day, we all need connection and we all need love and appreciation and all of that. So I think my fear is, losing my family and close friends and not having that connection.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And it's whether it's connect, like I say, my partner is more of the gardener than I am, but you can see his connection to the earth just purely by what he creates. I'm a real people connector. Like you've got your cat and things like that, and definitely my family. And yeah, we do need connection. If you don't feel connected to something, it's quite a challenging life to live.
And I think that's where a lot of people are really feeling challenged, especially in the last 6 months with COVID because of isolation and, so I think some people complain about social media, but we're so blessed to have it and to be where we're at, how far technology has come, because we can connect with people all over the world. And that's
look at us here.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, I was actually writing a list of all the people I had spoken to, all the different countries, and it went from Jamaica to Canada to the US, out in the deserts of California. Wow. And also I have family in Melbourne, and I have an uncle who's not that well at the moment, and I was able to FaceTime him the other day. Like, that's marvelous. I'm obviously Irish, so I came out to Australia 31 years ago. If we rang Ireland then, I mean, we had to kind of take half your wages just to do a phone call. So now it's like, just pick it up, and they can be a blessing and a curse, I suppose.
Yes.
So, look, we're coming to near the end. It's so funny how quickly time goes. But
I know.
What's one of the silliest things you've ever heard somebody say about you that you laugh out loud and go, what?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe they're all just talking behind my back and I don't hear anything like that.
Yeah, I think I gave an example once before. Like, this was even when I was young. I remember hanging around with, the same crew. We were all hanging in a small country town. But I was the youngest of 5 girls, but my dad allowed me to drive. We were all like 17, out driving. But nobody had a car. Like, my dad had a car, but nobody my age had a car. But because I was allowed to drive his car, I remember one person saying, "Oh, are you hanging out with Carver Murphy? That's snob." And I was like, "What? I've known you all my life. How am I a snob?" Because I had a car. Now, it wasn't my car, it was my dad's car, but still to this day, if people ever ask me what's the funniest thing, it's like, I can't believe I'm a snob. Yeah, I mean, even if it's in childhood or whatever, that you've kind of gone, "Oh my God, what? Is that what they do?"
I did have a situation once where I had a group of friends over and I was just trying to be hostess with the mostess, and make sure everyone was having a great time. And so after a very long evening, we were still going in the morning, I pulled out one more bottle of wine and one of the friends said, "Oh, she's just showing off now." And I was like, what? I was just trying to make sure everyone was having fun and, a good time. And she said that and it really surprised me.
Yeah. Because we don't often, And it's not that it matters, but we don't often look at how other people see us.
Yeah, that's right.
And it's quite awesome to check in now and again to make sure you're getting the correct feedback. It doesn't really matter to me what people think of me per se. But if I'm working with certain people, I want to know if I'm arriving how they need me to arrive in order to help them.
Yeah.
It was good to check in to what people, so when they say something ridiculous, it's like, what? What are you talking about? Yeah. So Alex, we're coming to the end, as I said. So if somebody wanted to contact you, what's the best way that they can do that?
Sure. So I've got a Facebook group called Better Life Solutions, and I run monthly meetup events through that as well. So you can find me on Facebook or on my business page, Alex Knysh Energy Coach. My website is alexknysh.com. And yeah, if you want to see me in person, I've got a clinic space in Roselle, so where I do energy coaching, hypnosis and Reiki.
I'm guessing you can do a lot of that online as well.
I do a lot online. I only have one day a week where I see face to face, but mostly I like to keep the clients online.
Yeah. Oh, and it just doesn't limit you where you can work then. It's like, I had one woman, I was so super impressed, that came on to one of my events from the UK, and it was 5 a.m. her time.
Wow.
And it was a half day event. So like she stayed for 3 or 4 hours. I was so super impressed.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So it just, when the time is right, when you have the right message, right person, and then the right time, they're going to arrive where they should.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Alex, it's been my absolute pleasure to have a chat with you today. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy day.
Thank you for having me. This has been lots of fun.
My pleasure. Okay, I'll get the recording to you soon. So for now, it's bye for me.
Bye.